Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into some really interesting analysis today. We're looking at a Premier League match prediction. AFC Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. That's set for May 10th, 2025 at the Vitality Stadium.
Yeah, and we've got some pretty sophisticated AI analysis to unpack here. The goal, really, is to give you the key insights without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Exactly. The source material is a report from the Gambler's Ruin project, and it's powered by something called SmartBet AI Technology.
Hmm.
So our mission, if you will, is to figure out what this AI is predicting, how it's getting there, and maybe what's particularly striking or even surprising about its findings. Okay, let's get started.
Sounds good. So first off, the match conditions. Looks like pretty decent weather forecast, 66 Fahrenheit, sunny, maybe a bit breezy with some gusts. But probably more impactful for the AI prediction is player availability. Let's look at the injuries.
Okay. For Bournemouth, let's see, Dango Ouattara listed as other, Hamad Traore also other, but maybe back for the match day. The report says 5:10. Then Ryan Christie's out with a groin injury, not back till late June.
Yeah.
And Anis Unal, that's a long one, cruciate ligament, maybe October.
Oof. Yeah. And for Villa, Enzo Barrenechea, shoulder issue, no return date given. And Lewis Dobbin, muscle injury, looking at maybe early June.
So a few missing pieces for both sides. How does the AI handle that? Just ignore them.
No, actually, it seems quite specific. The report mentions an injury count feature, so it's not just who is out, but the number of players unavailable seems to be a direct input into the model.
Ah, okay, so it's tallying them up.
Right.
Now, this SmartBet AI, it's called a comprehensive match prediction engine. What does that, actually involve?
Well, it basically means it's not just one simple calculation. It uses a mix, a hybrid approach. Two main parts stand out. First, it uses Poisson regression. That's for figuring out the likely number of goals each team might score. And second, it uses machine learning classifiers, tools like random forest, gradient boosting, which you might know as XGBoost, and also a neural network, an MLP, to predict the overall match result, win, draw, or loss.
Okay, so goals and the final outcome using different methods. Interesting. Let's talk about the goals first. Bootstrapped Poisson models. What does the bootstrapped bit mean?
Right, so that's important. Instead of just spitting out one single number, like Bournemouth will score 2 goals, bootstrapping means the AI runs the simulation loads of times, considering the uncertainty. So for Bournemouth, the average prediction is, about 4.49 goals, but the key is the range. The 95% confidence interval is between 1 and 9 goals. Huge range.
Well, yeah.
And for Villa, the average is around 2.35, with a range from 0 up to 6 goals. It shows the AI knows goals can be, unpredictable.
That makes a lot more sense than just a single fixed number. It acknowledges the chaos of football a bit. Okay, what else goes into the mix? You mentioned dynamic Elo rating.
Exactly. Elo is, think of it like a power ranking for teams. It goes up when you win, down when you lose, and it depends on who you play against. Dynamic just means it's constantly updated after each match. So for this game, Bournemouth's Elo is 1530.55. Aston Villa's is higher, 1606.5.
So historically, or at least based on this rating system, Villa looks like the slightly stronger side overall.
According to Elo, yeah.
Hmm.
But the AI doesn't stop there. That's where the contextual team features come in.
Right, what kind of things are we talking about there?
It's looking at recent form, like points per game recently, expected goals or XG, the quality of chances created and conceded. Definitely home and away advantage, that injury count we talked about. Goal efficiency, how good teams are at actually finishing chances, and even the betting market odds.
So it pulls in a lot of different angles.
A really wide range of factors, yeah. And the report mentions they use some advanced stuff like SMOTE for handling imbalanced data and grid search for tuning the models. Basically, they're trying to make the AI learn as effectively as possible.
Sounds complex. Okay, back to the goals for a second. Poisson regression.
Yeah.
Why that specific method for goals?
Well, Poisson is really well suited for predicting counts, like how many times something happens over a period. Goals in a match fit that pretty well. The idea is goals happen sort of randomly, but at an average rate. The model uses all those features we listed: form, ELO, injuries, odds, home advantage, to estimate that scoring rate for this specific match.
Got it. And what did the Poisson summary actually say for Bournemouth Villa goals?
The direct output from the summary gave about 4.4D goals for Bournemouth, the home team, and around 2.42 for Villa, the away team. Pretty high scoring, actually.
Very high. Anything stand out in why it predicted those numbers?
Yeah, it's interesting. The model found that the higher the betting market's probability for a home win, the more home goals it predicted. That was statistically significant. And the same for the away side: higher market probability for an away win correlated with more predicted away goals. So the AI is definitely listening to the wisdom of the crowd, so to speak.
Fascinating. So it respects the market odds. Any other big factors? You mentioned injuries earlier.
Yes. For Bournemouth's home goals, the home injuries variable had a negative and statistically significant effect, which makes perfect sense, right? More injuries for the home team likely means fewer goals.
Right, that checks out. Okay, so that covers the goal expectations. Now, how about predicting the actual winner? Those machine learning classifiers. Random forest, XGBoost, MLPNN, how do they work, sort of in simple terms?
Okay, super quick overview. Random forest builds lots of simple decision trees and takes a majority vote. XGBoost is a bit smarter. It builds trees sequentially, each one learning from the last one's mistakes. And the MLP is a neural network inspired by the brain, good at finding really complex patterns. They're just different ways for the AI to look at the data.
Different approaches to pattern finding. And what did they predict for this match?
This is pretty striking. All three of them independently predicted a home win for AFC Bournemouth.
Wow, all three. Unanimous then.
Seems so, yeah. The report includes performance metrics like accuracy, precision, recall. We don't need to dive deep into those numbers, but they suggest the models have a decent track record.
Okay, so the key thing is they all landed on a home win. Good enough for now. But then there's another layer.
Yeah.
A stacked ensemble prediction. What's that about?
Think of it like this. You have your three experts, Random Forest, XGBoost, MLP. The stacked ensemble is like a manager expert. It takes the predictions from those three as input and learns how to combine them best to make a final, potentially even more accurate prediction.
Ah, like a meta prediction.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did the stacked ensemble say for Bournemouth Villa?
It also predicted a home win for AFC Bournemouth. And looking at its own performance scores, it seems pretty solid across the board, predicting home wins, draws, and away wins well. Suggests combining the models paid off.
So consensus across the board, really. Now, how likely is that home win? That's where the Monte Carlo simulation comes in, I guess.
Exactly. To get probabilities, they ran this Monte Carlo simulation. Basically, they simulated the match 10,000 times using the goal-scoring probabilities from that Poisson model we discussed.
10,000 virtual matches.
Okay.
What percentages came out of that?
The results heavily favored Bournemouth. The simulation gave a home win a probability of 72.05%. Pretty high.
72%. Wow. What about a draw or a Villa win?
A draw came out at 16.2%, and an Aston Villa away win was seen as the least likely, only 11.75% probability.
Okay, that's a really strong signal towards a home victory.
Right.
Did the simulation suggest any specific scores as being most likely?
It did. The top three most probable scorelines were, number one, a 4-2 win for Bournemouth with a 5.26% chance, then a 1-1 draw at 4.51%, and then a 2-2 draw at 4.46%.
High scoring again. Interesting that 4-2 is the most likely.
Yeah, it reflects those high average goal predictions from the Poisson model. Also worth noting, a 1-2 away win for Villa wasn't that unlikely, about 4.14% chance, even though the overall away win probability was low.
Right, so still a possibility there. Okay, let's try and wrap this all up. We have the Poisson model suggesting more goals for Bournemouth. We have all three machine learning models predicting a Bournemouth win. The combined stacked model agrees. And the big simulation gives Bournemouth a, 72% chance of winning?
That's the gist of it, yeah. SmartBet AI, using this whole toolbox of different techniques, points very strongly towards an AFC Bournemouth home win against Aston Villa. But, it's crucial to remember those confidence intervals on the goals were wide. And the probabilities for a draw or even an away win are not zero. Football's never guaranteed. The models suggest a likely goal difference favoring Bournemouth, and that 4-2 scoreline pops up as most probable.
So for you, our listener, the big takeaway.
Uh-huh.
This deep AI dive, crunching lots of data, using fancy methods, it really does lean heavily towards a Bournemouth victory here. But it's still a prediction, not a certainty.
Which leads to a good question for you to ponder, maybe. What factors could this AI be missing or maybe overweighting? Could something happen on the day a red card, a moment of magic that throws these probabilities out the window?
Absolutely. And we should always add the standard disclaimer. This is all for informational, maybe entertainment purposes. Engage with the stuff responsibly. These models are powerful, but not perfect crystal balls.
Definitely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. How do you see AI like this evolving? How will it change how we understand and predict, not just football matches, but, all sorts of complex events in the future?
Food for thought indeed. Some really fascinating stuff unpacked there. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.